$10 buried in soil. That's all it takes to outperform $500 irrigation systems. No electricity, no timers, no apps, no maintenance. A self-watering system that fills itself once every 7 days. It fed civilizations for 2,000 years. Then, in the 1960s, it disappeared from every textbook. Not because it failed, because you only had to buy it once. The archive opens 2,000 years ago, in the dry fields of the Han Dynasty. A farmer buries a clay jar in the earth, fills it with water, walks away. 7 days later, his crops are still alive. His neighbors are not. This is the remembering. For centuries, this knowledge spread. The technique appeared in one of the first agricultural texts ever written, Fan Shengxi Shu, the Han Dynasty Agricultural Manual, 530 pits per hectare. 6-liter earthen jars, fill once per 7 days. The physics were precise. The yields were documented. From China, the knowledge traveled west. Persian engineers adapted it to arid climates. In Mesopotamia, archaeologists found the buried vessels. In the American Southwest, the Hohokam people built sophisticated networks of clay reservoirs. Spanish colonists arrived in the 1500s and found systems already 1,000 years old. Different cultures, different continents, different languages, the same solution. Where water meant survival, the buried jar was king. No wires, no pumps, no electricity, just clay, and physics, and patience. The elders understood something we forgot. The elders say, when you bury water, the earth remembers where to find it. When you bury a jar, you plant a well that never runs dry. This is not irrigation. This is a conversation with the soil. The clay breathes. The roots listen. The water answers. But the science explains exactly why it works. Soil moisture tension. That's the scientific name for what makes this work. Unglazed terracotta clay is porous. Thousands of microscopic pores, invisible to the eye, opening and closing with the rhythm of the soil. When the soil around the jar is dry, tension increases. The dry earth pulls. Like a breath drawn through ancient walls. The water answers. When it rains, the tension drops. Seepage slows. The system waits. The plants don't drown. They don't dry out. They regulate themselves. Within weeks, roots find the source. They spiral around the clay like fingers reaching for water in the dark. The jar becomes the center of a living network. No timer can match this. No sensor can replicate it. The only irrigation system that adapts to weather, crop size, and time of day without a single microchip. Just physics. 2,000 years old. Still perfect. And the research proves it works better than anything modern. David Bainbridge at UC Riverside spent decades studying this. His findings, 50 to 70% better water efficiency than traditional surface watering. University of Arizona trials, 70% water savings in sandy soils. In India, researchers measured weed pressure. Surface irrigation, 465 kilograms of weed biomass per hectare. Buried pot irrigation, 62 kilograms. Not only does it use less water, it creates fewer weeds. By every objective metric, water conservation, weed suppression, yield, the ancient jar wins. Not by a little, by a lot. So why isn't this in every gardening textbook? Why don't agricultural extension services teach it? The answer is money. In the 1960s, drip irrigation arrived. Israeli engineers, brilliant technology, efficient, but with a business model. The drip irrigation market in 2024 is valued at $7 billion. Projected to reach $13.6 billion by 2030. Companies like Netafim, Jane Irrigation, Rainbird, Toro. They built global empires on systems that require installation, maintenance contracts, replacement parts, timers, filters, emitters that clog. Maintenance isn't optional. It's the revenue stream. Meanwhile, a buried clay jar costs under $10. You buy it once, bury it once, fill it once a week. If it doesn't freeze and crack, it lasts decades. No filters, no emitters, no timers, no electricity. For manufacturers, this isn't a product. It's a dead end. So they erased it. Not banned, just never mentioned. But while the textbooks went silent, some families never forgot. In Cyprus, a viewer named Jan wrote, "We used to do this when I was a kid. It works perfectly." His grandmother buried clay jars in the Mediterranean sun. No timer, no electricity, just physics and patience. In Texas, a gardener named Steve uses this system on raised beds and fruit trees. "I use a lot less water," he says. "Everything stays hydrated in the hell of summer." While agricultural extension services were teaching drip irrigation, these families were the archive. They kept the jars buried. They kept the knowledge alive. They didn't call it Olla Irrigation. They called it what we've always done. The jars went underground. So did the knowledge. Waiting. And if you want to remember, here's how. You need unglazed terracotta. Any garden center. $5 to $15 depending on size. Avoid glazed ceramics. They block the pores. Plug the drainage hole. Wine cork works. Food grade silicone. Tile adhesive. Bury the pot with its rim at or slightly above soil level. This is critical. Backfill firmly. Press the soil against the clay. This contact is what creates the tension. Cover the top opening. A terracotta saucer. A flat stone. Keeps out debris. Reduces evaporation. Fill with water. Plant around the perimeter. Coverage varies by size. 1 liter pot, 1 foot diameter. 3 liter pot, 1.5 foot diameter. 7 liter pot, 2 foot diameter. Refill every 3 to 7 days in moderate climates. Every 2 to 4 days for water-hungry crops like tomatoes and melons in extreme heat. The system works exceptionally well with tomatoes, squash, peppers, beans, leafy greens. For larger systems, connect multiple buried pots with gravity-fed tubing from a raised rain barrel. No pumps, no electricity. What you have just built is a sensor-based irrigation system that runs on 0 volts. Your grandmother would recognize it. So would a Han Dynasty farmer. But this isn't really about irrigation. Drip irrigation is not inferior technology. For commercial operations, for vast acreage, for industrial scale, it makes sense. But for the home gardener, for the small farmer, for anyone who values independence over dependency, the ancient way is superior. Not because it's romantic, because the math works. Because the physics haven't changed. Because a system that requires nothing from the industry gives everything back to you. The knowledge was not lost. It was made inconvenient, buried in footnotes, dismissed as primitive, labeled appropriate for developing regions. The clay pots don't care about market dynamics. They don't care about patent protection. They work the same way they did 2,000 years ago. The question is, do you remember how to use them? You have a choice. You can invest in a system that feeds an industry. Or you can bury a clay pot and feed your garden. The clay didn't die. It waited. In garden centers, in forgotten pottery, in the memory of anyone who ever wondered, why is my grandmother's garden always green? The jars are still here. The physics hasn't changed. The earth still knows how to drink. This is not innovation. This is remembering. What you do with that knowledge is up to you. If this story changed how you see a simple clay pot, subscribe to the Green Archive. We are digging up the technologies they tried to bury, the knowledge that was made inconvenient, the systems that worked too well to profit from. Every jar you bury is a vote against forgetting. Every garden you water this way is an archive. $10 buried in soil. 2,000 years of physics. The earth still knows how to drink. Do you remember how to let it? Plant the future. The archive never closes.